Mark Cooper is the Chief of Staff of Governor John Bel Edwards. So I guess the first question is, when was the last day Mark Cooper had off? How long?
Really?
How long has it been? Did you go on a picnic this weekend? Did you just lay low on the sofa? I seriously doubt it.
Good morning. It's been a while, but we're holding up down here in Baton Rouge. It's been a few weeks, a couple of weeks maybe.
Take us behind the curtain. Take us behind, I would imagine, well, very similar to the conversation we had last week. I would imagine things are kind of intense around the governor's office these days, and this was not something that John Bel did lightly, right?
No, it's not. And, we're camped out here at the Emergency Operations Center. And Robert Aaron, let me first of all say everyone's impacted by this, including the both of you, and everyone has a role to play. So it's not just us, it's everyone that's being impacted and is having to deal with this. I mean, so obviously we're coming in here and we've got, the LDH here, Louisiana Department of Health, we've got GOSEP, we've got the National Guard, all the main players here, and then we have people that are working from home. We're doing, daily conference calls with the Unified Command Group. The governor's on the phone, with the vice president. He's on with Dr. Fauci, with the Corona Task Force. So, I mean, it's just a matter of getting the best information, from the hospitals. He's on with the various hospitals throughout the state, and it's collecting that information. And we're looking at, as you are, looking at the cases as they go up, the deaths, looking at all that information and synthesizing that and trying to make the best decisions that we can, for the state. And that's just going on a constant basis. And then these problems come up, and we put together a task team to address those problems and come up with solutions. So there's something different every minute, every hour that we're trying to address and trying to do the best we can. I think what makes this so unique, as it is with a hurricane, is that, a lot of times we're having to go to other states to get assistance, but other states are going through the exact same thing. So we're basically on our own as the other states are. So that's what makes this eerily different than other disasters or crises that we've worked in the past.
When we were last talking, and we were at the point it was still the sort of self-quarantine idea, and now this past weekend the governor's shelter at home, safe at home thing.
Yeah.
When you're having these meetings, when these discussions, when there's the back and forth about should we, shouldn't we, is it necessary, etc., I can't imagine that somebody with some degree of heatedness stands up and says, but what about the economy? What about jobs?
Yeah, that's always part of the discussion, and it's not a decision the governor takes lightly. And we're thinking about that. And it's also, when do we make this effective? And there are some heated discussions that go on, but that's healthy because it means he's making, taking that all into consideration. And again, not making those decisions in a vacuum or taking information in a vacuum. I mean, before the decision was made yesterday, he had a conversation on Friday with Dr. Fauci from the Corona Task Force that the president set up, and he laid out where our state was, and the direction was, it's looking bad there, Governor. You need to go through the weekend and see how it's looking. And at the end of the day, it's the governor's decision. He's going to make it. But as we saw the numbers going up, and I think you also saw the charts that the governor pointed to yesterday during the press conference, it doesn't look good. And we're hoping that these protective measures, these mitigative measures that he's implemented, are going to flatten this curve so that we can get out of this and we can get back to getting our economy moving again. But yes, it's not. He didn't take these decisions lightly, and certainly the impact on businesses is on top of everyone's mind. And
Mark,
we're trying. Go ahead.
The chart is on the Keel app, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when I look at it, we're on the path of Italy. That's where Louisiana is.
Right.
And this action by the governor is hoping to turn that line, that purple line, to the right and flatten it, like South Korea and others. But the timing, how soon could we see that turn? What's the hope?
Well, the hope is, again, part of it is getting the testing up and running, which we're doing right now. The hope is in 7 to 14 days we could hopefully see, that curve starts to flatten, and that's what the hope would be, that we would see that in 7 to 14 days. And as I'm looking at the map too, and I think, for some of the parishes we have 0 cases, but if you remember this time last week, what did Shreveport have? Maybe 1 or 2?
Right.
And now it's up to 16, and Bossier's got 5, you've got 21. That's not, I wouldn't say that's a hot spot. We wouldn't say that yet, but 2 weeks ago, I think it was, that New Orleans had 1.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's why. The governor, we want to make sure there's not community spread up in North Louisiana. That's why this is important. That's why it's important that citizens, heed the directive for this home order and the stay-at-home order that we're asking. It's important that everybody plays their part. And again, they can, there's things that they can do. We're not shutting down business and commerce for everything, just those non-essential items. And hopefully you've got that information up on your website as well as to what people can do. And the other thing too is the National Guard. We're not going to be having them stationed in neighborhoods, not allowing people to leave. They can still go to restaurants to pick up food and then go back to their homes.
What about curfews, Mark? Or have y'all talked about that at all?
Yeah, at this point, there's no plans for curfews. We know that citizens are going to, and the good thing is, Colonel Reeves from Louisiana State Police, the citizens are heeding, the state's advice. So we're not having any major issues throughout the state. We have great people here in the state, better than any state in the country, and they're listening to what local officials, what state officials are asking them to do.
Mark, I thought I saw the number yesterday for a state with, like 4.5 million people in Louisiana. We've only had about 3,500. I know it's fewer than 4,000 tests. How far behind are we, and what's sort of the time frame on getting more people tested? Because I would think at some point that's going to bring the negative look of the numbers down a little bit.
Yeah, so actually I think we've had, again, the numbers this morning that I'm looking at right now I think we're around a little over 5,000 tests that have been conducted. So again, we want to, and there's more that we're waiting to get in. And again, this is a problem all states are having, is trying to get those test results in. So once we get more in, it'll give us a better idea of how bad the problem is, and then we can start looking at the curve going down, and hopefully these mitigative measures will allow that to happen.